I truly hope I'm not aging myself with this video. I say it 22 years old, but for some reason, because I grew up my entire life on the internet, whenever I reference things from whenever I was younger on the internet, it makes me realize how long I've truly been on the internet, if that makes sense. So basically, I was thinking a lot about the rise of Ariana Grande and all these different like Nickelodeon Disney stars, because whenever they were rising, it was also during the time of social media rising. And there were very few creators that were able to reach the heights of mainstream celebrities on the rise at that time in the YouTube world. But one of the only ones was Magcon. And I do not know if anyone remembers Magcon. Now, I want to dive into it, but basically, it was this group of a bunch of basically like young boys, young teen boys. I don't actually know what exact age they all ranged in, but they were all relatively teenage, young adult years, right? And it was all of them together, and they all had zero talent. They all just were conventionally attractive looking enough for young girls to buy tickets to come and meet them. And then this became a profitable thing. And MagCon were within that first wave of internet people going on tour and meeting fans and charging these extortionate prices that we were seeing people that were on the rise from Disney and Nickelodeon do. And then I was just like, oh my God, I don't know if anyone remembers the magazine J14, I think it was called, Tiger Beat. What was the other one called? Like Buzz something? Oh my God. These teen magazines, right? That were the teenage equivalent of tabloids. And it would always be Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, One Direction, Justin Bieber, Magcon, and maybe the Janoskians. Is that what they were called as well? The one that dated Ariana as well. He was in that little thing. Oh my God. Cimarelli. Like these were the big names at the start of YouTube that were able to kind of have that mainstream-ish that they're on, like a Tiger Beat magazine for teenage, girls and boys and theys. And so I was thinking back, and then I remembered how much I witnessed Magcon rise and fall, because I was on social media during the time when they were in the rise and they were in their peak, and then when they just like faded into obscurity after scandal after scandal after scandal. So what I've prepared today is Magcon and a breakdown of everything that happened. And again, if you do not remember Magcon, God bless you. If you do, we deserve a veterans online discount. So let's dive into it. So Magcon was something that stood for Meet and Greet Convention. Now, I only learned this whenever I was researching for this video. It's so embarrassing that it took me until 22 years old to realize that Magcon stood for Meet and Greet Convention. I thought that was just like their little like band name or something like that. So I feel incredibly stupid at that. But if anyone else didn't know that, let me know. They were founded in 2013, which was a beautiful year. I literally just made a video earlier where I talked about how much 2013 was really a pivotal, beautiful moment for me. By manager Bart Bordelin, in 2013, founded by him, okay? Now, the idea behind it was basically, finding these boys who were in their teen years who were viral on Vine at the time. We're talking Vine. Who remembers Vine? I know you remember Vine. Now, I wonder if there's people watching me who are young enough that they don't remember Vine or just know kind of TikTok. But, I fucked up a Vine. I loved a Vine, and people always ask for Vine to come back. It was like a TikTok equivalent, but you could only post 6-second videos. I actually think Vine wouldn't work anymore. I feel like most Vines weren't even funny, but they were funny for the moment. But, like, looking back, probably not the greatest. So, I'm good with my TikTok. It's crazy that Vine, Musically, TikTok was really the trilogy, and TikTok and Musically were the same thing, which always blows my mind. So basically, what Bart wanted to do was, take these really viral boys on Vine and kind of capitalize off of, this, really passionate fan base and take them on, tour where they would practically do nothing except for just meet fans. This was really the rise of a meet and greet tour, which was literally, these boys aren't going to put on a show for you. They're going to take your money and meet you. And I also wonder how much money these kids were getting, because the management were so greedy in exploiting the young fans that I probably think that these kids probably didn't make a lot of money. Well, I could be wrong in that, but just out of my own, experiences. So anyways, this was really one of the turning points for capitalizing off of Vine fame. And the tickets ranged from like $100 to kind of $200, which specifically back then is crazy expensive. And the events were always kind of very poorly managed as well. So you're paying a lot of money and it's just not even a good event aside from meeting them. Okay, so who was in Magcon? So we have Cameron Dallas, who was basically the main person of Magcon. And whenever I was younger, I had the biggest crush on Cameron Dallas. And then we have Nash Greer, who was... I mean, he was a little bit more edgy, and I'm pretty sure he went through some scandals. I may be wrong in that. I just remember he had starking blue eyes, and he really pissed me off and scared me as a kid. Shawn Mendes was in Magcon, which is crazy. He obviously is probably one of the only ones from Magcon who ended up having any talent or using it. But it's crazy to me that Shawn fucking Mendes was in Magcon and doing these little YouTube tours. But then again, the YouTube era of musicians. But that still is fucking crazy to me. Jack and Jack, who were a Vine duo group. Taylor Caniff. We have Aaron Carpenter. We have Carter Reynolds. And they all basically were doing this parasocial with their young fans where they would, kind of play that role of a boyfriend. And I've been seeing a lot of TikToks going viral recently of old Magcon meet and greets where these girls who have now grown up are posting videos of them meeting Cameron Dallas, Nash Greer, Taylor Caniff. And these boys they just so don't want to be there. In most of the cases, they're like talking to someone off camera while meeting a fan. In some cases, they don't even smile for the photo. In some cases, they don't even look the fan in the eyes. In some cases, they don't even talk to them once. They're literally like a robot. And now, this obviously sucks for the perspective of a fan. But furthermore, it makes me wonder what the environment was like behind the scenes for these kids when they so clearly in the meet and greets are just so vacant and not wanting to be there or not caring, because you can obviously be like, oh, the guys had big egos and they didn't care about their fans, they just wanted to make money. But then were they like also overworked or maybe just didn't even want to be there and were stuck in contracts? It makes me think the older I am now, you know what I mean? But still, a horrible experience for the fans. But these fans thought that they were going to marry these boys, and they thought that at the meet and greet they would be the chosen one. And obviously this never ever happened. Except I think, is it Nash Greer? I'm pretty sure one of them who they married, their partner, was like a fan of them and came to a meet and greet. So I guess parasocial may work. So they were in their peak, I would say 2013 and 2014, and they were huge on social media. I cannot stress enough. They had the same kind of intense fan base as like One Direction, which was crazy. Their fans would come and see them on their tours. They would do sold out tours, like tour after tour after tour. They were definitely being worked. There was definitely a lot of working going on there. But Shawn Mendes ended up leaving Magcon because in 2014 he signed with Island Records to become a musician, and he just left VidCon right after that, which fair enough, probably the smartest decision out of anyone in Magcon, because out of everyone in Magcon, I'm pretty sure the only one people talk about, Shawn Mendes. So during this time as well, there was reported, because I remember the J14 and Tiger Beat magazines, a lot of tension. A lot of them seemed to fight with Cameron Dallas because he was definitely the most popular one. There was a lot of alleged fighting going on between the guys and management issues, and it was seemingly starting to fall apart behind the scenes, and also just seemed like it was a mess. It seemed like it was ran so horribly. It was just exploiting the fans. The guys are being overworked. The guys were also being assholes. They were egotistical like teens, young adults. Also, a majority of them got into scandals, which we're going to talk about now, and are horrible people. It was just a disaster. Like, it so went down the drain very quickly. But I mean, the concept of it obviously doesn't uphold. So of course this was going to end in disaster. But the management didn't care to protect the fans. They also didn't care to protect the guys. So it became a really bad environment with lots of terrible things going down. And this ultimately started because of someone's greed to exploit, young fans through fan service, which fan service is something that I find really interesting, because I am a huge K-pop fan, and I've also been a fan of a lot of people, and I've gone to a lot of meet and greets, and I've gone to a lot of VIPs, and it's interesting because I do meet and greets and VIPs now. I just finished I'm about to finish my tour, and I've met hundreds, if not thousands of people, which has been really, really, really exciting. But I'm also very aware when I'm meeting people, about boundaries, because I've met so many people that have blurred those in the industry. And also I'm very aware as well that, companies that you work with are incredibly exploitative, and they really, really, really drive in this fan service where your fans will pay anything. Your fans will do anything. We can do this because your fans love you so much. Like, it's this fan service then of getting the performer or person to feed into something that will make the fans pay more attention to them, spend more money on them. And I'm aware of this in many cases because I've gone to meet and greets where the person has made me believe I'm their friend, ultimately for me to do something for them. There's a hair going in my eye. Hold on. But even more so, I am... Okay, hold on. Let me get this damn hair. Got it. Ultimately, I am a fan of K-pop, and I have been since about 2015, and I have noticed, how much fan service goes into the K-pop industry. And I would love to make a video on the K-pop industry. I find it incredibly fascinating, question mark. But, a lot of boy bands will, lean in on, flirty behavior because they know that fans love it. Or they will, lift their shirt and the fans love it and they know to do it at a certain time. Or girl groups, leaning in towards flirting with each other, and all this stuff is fan service. And with Magcon, the fan service was these guys tried to make you believe that they were your boyfriend or would be your boyfriend. And if they met you, you would have the chance for it. And at the end of the day, it was, exploitative business people that were making the guys do this so that they could make money on the guys. So you can see how this is incredibly blurry and exploitative. And who's the victim at the end of the day? Basically everyone except for the greedy man on top. So things started to go really bad during this time. Cameron Dallas, Nash Greer announced that they were departing. They were accusing Bart of taking too much control and mismanaging the entire Magcon. Obviously, Shawn Mendes left, and Carter Reynolds, who was a member, had a leaked video, and it was incredibly inappropriate. And this ended up becoming a scandal that, rightfully so, really kicked him off the internet for what the video was. It was incredibly disturbing. If I'm remembering it correctly, and the reason I'm remembering it correctly is because I don't want to Google it. But it was, I remember that. Carter Reynolds, one of the members, video leaked, and this was really the end of his career. And then the first version of Magcon, I guess, then was no more. Now, there was kind of like a moment where they tried to revive it, and Cameron Dallas relaunched it with a new and also some of the old people in it. Blake Gray was added, Hunter Rowland and Jacob Sartorius were added. And a Netflix docuseries, Chasing Cameron, was released in 2016. Now, I so badly want to go back and rewatch this because I remember watching it in the moment. And you know what? I feel like I enjoyed it. But I know that it is probably the worst piece of media that has ever existed. Of course it is. But I just had such a big crush on Cameron Dallas that I was willing to watch anything. I actually might go back and rewatch that because it features them on tour and stuff. And I wonder if there's any interesting bits. I'll watch it and report back, okay? But anyways, it was a terrible show from what I've read online. I just remember enjoying it. The series basically showed a lack of structure with Magcon and then ultimately kind of proved it to be a dumb idea again. And it just wasn't really a well-respected or received series. And again, fan service was an all-time high, but the fans were now growing up and realizing that they were being manipulated a little bit for money. So this next section I like to dedicate to the controversies. So we have Cameron Dallas was arrested in 2018 for assault, and he also... I'll actually save that. He went on Broadway, but I'll talk about that with their careers now, and it was one of the worst things of all time. It was really funny. Taylor Caniff is basically someone who is accused all the time of being incredibly tone deaf, and accused of exploiting drama and just being a really nasty person. Carter Reynolds leaked video of him coercing girlfriend, and again, he is absolutely destroyed, and he should be. Nash Greer, there was a lot of old sexist and homophobic vines resurfacing. He did apologize for these, but again, kind of tarnished his image. And then the next section is, where are they now? So Cameron Dallas is an interesting one and my favorite one because, again, he was the one I cared about the most. I didn't care for Magcon, but he was the attractive one for me. He released music, flopped, tried acting, flopped, and then in the ultimate career revival, went on Broadway. I think he was on Mean Girls, and the bootleg videos, bitch, they are bootleg. It is the cringiest, worst acting, worst singing, craziest stunt casting of all. Whoever casted him should be arrested immediately. It was crazy trolled online, and he never tried that again. Shawn Mendes, Grammy-nominated artist, chart-topping artist, he really doesn't care to ever bring up Magcon. Nash Greer is now a dad, and I guess is a dad influencer. Jack and Jack have music careers. Jacob Sartorius has a podcast, and kind of everyone else doesn't really have any impact for me to care enough about them. Now, again, Magcon is really interesting because it was the first setting of influencer houses and YouTubers, creators with no talent like me going on tour. And what does that look like? And what does fans of YouTubers in a room look like compared to fans of music artists or fans of comedy shows? What is that niche? It was really the starting of the carving of the future of the influencer sphere. And I don't know what the influencer economy would look like without Magcon, because as stupid as it sounds, they had a huge impact to how we were received, what we did, where we could do shows, if we could do shows, if we could make money for companies. It was a big, big, big thing. But I think the main thing is to kind of focus on, we are in this era of, creator houses and the Hype House and Team 10 and all like this. That all happened because of the concept of Magcon. So if anyone remembers Magcon, please let me know. I think it's incredibly interesting, and without it, I don't know where the idea of YouTubers going on tour and stuff would be. Let me know your thoughts. If you ever met anyone, please give me your story down below. I'll talk to you later. I hope you're all doing very well, and goodbye.